Jay here from Stretford, Paddock, and this is it. This is the big one. United versus Leeds. This is the preview. I've got Joe Smith with me. This preview is brought to you by Betmate, the fantasy football app. We'll be getting into that a little bit later on. Joe, it doesn't get much bigger than Manchester United versus Leeds.
This is milk to my ears, Jay.
Is it?
Yeah.
Milk to
In
your
the sort of
udder.
Laurel and Hardy sense.
Yes.
I'm so excited for this. I hate it, though. I hate it. And I don't understand why it's fair that every other team we play has just got a new manager.
Yeah.
How can they do this?
I know.
How can they keep doing this to us?
Yeah.
Did we do Wolves? We got them just after Lopetegui, didn't we?
Lopetegui, yeah.
We lost, obviously, to Villa
with
Emery. Now we've got Leeds fresh off a new manager bounce. And also, this might be the ultimate new manager bounce, which is one of our ex-coaches who was soundly and roundly and rightly ridiculed.
Yeah, Jesse Marsh is gone. Chris Christmas has taken over.
Yeah.
I assume temporarily. I can't see him getting a permanent manager's job. He did serve under Ralph Rangnick. He was his assistant, and he was ridiculed. Apparently, the United players called him Ted Lasso. Apparently, he didn't really have the CV, or not apparently, he didn't have a CV that impressed Sir Alex Ferguson, who, when Chris Armas told him what he'd been doing, apparently Sir Alex said, well, you're going to need more than that here, son. Yeah, it is a bit of a weird one. I don't feel as nervous about this new manager coming in. I can't call it a bounce because it hasn't happened yet, as I would have done, or I did do, about the likes of Unai Emery.
Because it's not permanent, or because it's not of someone of that calibre?
And you know what? I may eat these words, but I think Chris Armas has just got no business being in the Premier League as a manager. And I'm not trying to hate on the guy, but I think his CV was unimpressive, or is unimpressive. Yeah. At United, we heard stories of him basically taking instructions from someone in Moscow on a laptop.
Yeah.
What is that? What's
wrong with that? Donald Trump did it. What's wrong with Chris Armas doing it? Like, it's going to be the saddest day ever when you just see listing on eBay, Chris Armas, like 74 or whatever, Apple AirPods. Listed, used, slightly. Barely used for over a 6-month period between January 2022 and what? February 2023. Used once a week.
That's such a good joke.
Sat on the side.
Someone, bro. That's
Thank
elite.
You. Hopefully they don't get that new manager.
Do I need to sort of be a little bit more, sort of, I don't know, conservative in my ambitions? Am I getting carried away?
No, I don't think so. And he's not. Obviously, they've got. It seems like they're going to have almost like a cluster of potential kind of managers all doing the same thing on the day. There's like 3 of them, isn't there?
I mean, like
some sort of 3 wise men situation.
We're talking here for me about a team that are inferior to Manchester United.
Correct.
In every department.
Yes.
I don't think there's one player that gets in our team, right? And I'll say that, I just don't. And you can argue in the comments and let me know if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And I also think you've got a manager who, as it stands, is probably one of the least qualified managers you've ever had in the Premier League. Yeah. Up against, for me, the most talented manager in the Premier League right now. That's how it. That's
when you phrase it like
feels.
that. It's got to be a win, isn't it?
I would be amazed beyond belief if Erik ten Hag couldn't get a win in this game. I know we'll get to predictions in a minute, but this whole new manager bounce, I get it. It is a thing. It's happened. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's last job before he came to Manchester United was getting Cardiff relegated. He came to Manchester United and then broke records as a caretaker for the amount of consecutive wins he had.
Yeah.
So I get it happens, even when you're not expecting it. I just don't see anything in this Leeds team or Chris Armas that makes me think he can turn this around. Because Ole inherited a team that had some very, very good players in it. Yeah. And obviously that's, I'm using that as a bit of he's a bit of an outlier anyway because of just how good he was. Yeah. Lopetegui has got loads of experience, won trophies. Emery's got experience, has won trophies. Yeah. Chris Armas has been... Dyche has got lots of experience of getting results against Arsenal, of having a small squad and having to battle against relegation. He's done all that and worn a T-shirt, or the snow-soaked shirt, I should say. But Chris Armas has got experience of managing in America in the college system, which I know is big, but it ain't the same. No. And also, he's inherited a team that's just been floundering for about 2 years. Yeah. Anyway, enough of new managers. Let's talk about new players. Yeah. Marcel Sabitzer.
Yeah. We're going to need him.
We are going to need him.
Yeah.
Because Casemiro is obviously suspended. a bit of a cameo against Crystal Palace. We had Florian Plettenberg on the channel the other day. He was raving about him, and he said, you've got an absolute gem here. You've got a player that doesn't get in a Bayern Munich team basically because of politics, not because he's not any good. And he's also got some amazing midfielders in front of him. From the cameo up against Palace, did very well. Like you say, we are going to need him. How confident are you he can do the job we need him to do, especially without Casemiro there?
He's the sort of player that if he hadn't have just spent the last sort of 12 months or so kind of in and out of the first team for Bayern or not in the first team for Bayern, if this was 2019, you'd be saying fantastic signing. He's the captain for one of the most sort of exciting up-and-coming teams in Europe, in RB Leipzig.
Yeah.
He's the sort of player that United haven't had in a long time, which is a defensive, a destructive midfielder, but is also very good on the ball and very good in front of goal. We've got a few stats for him. So even amongst the Bayern Munich squad, which is obviously full of talented players, he's not playing every week. His interceptions per 90 are the third highest in the whole team, which is obviously fantastic. He's not a defender. He's a midfielder who's got a pass on him. He's also got the second highest successful tackles per 90 of anyone in the Bayern Munich team. So it's weird because he seems like you see the highlights and the 35-yard shots and the sort of Nani-esque goals, but actually the thing that he excels at the most is his defensive stuff and his shooting. He's a weird player where he can just sort of the two extremes of the game, he's elite at. Like his tackling and defensive numbers are amazing, and his shooting and output numbers are amazing. So he's someone that can do a lot of things, and I think it should be a very exciting signing. The only worry is he's been thrown in with obviously Fred, who's been excellent under Ten Hag, but isn't someone that you can kind of. He's not going to put an arm around Sabitzer's shoulder.
No.
It needs to be the other way around. Why Casemiro and Fred has worked so well is because Casemiro goes, right, I'll sort this. You just do what you're good at.
They know each other
and
as
they
well,
know each other,
from the international duty.
Whereas you would hope Fred, being this sort of elder statesman of the squad, would go, I'll sort you out. You just do what you're good at, and I'll tick things over. Fred isn't capable of that, so we need to see quite a lot from Sabitzer straight away, which is my only worry. But I think he's a really good player.
He is. He's also helped with his stats there for successful tackles in Germany because he's not got Andre Mariner as the referee calling a foul every time he cleanly tackles someone. But anyway, we'll move on because I've spoke about that more than enough. With all that being said, give us your predicted 11. You've gone with a strong team. I think our team's going to be pretty similar, to be honest with you. Just talk us through it. Why have you gone for who you've gone for?
Yeah, the back five, I think you stick with what's working. Even if Dallow's fit, I'm not sure he is. But if he is fully fit and ready to start, I don't think it would be fair on Wan-Bissaka. And Ten Hag tends to do this thing where if you're playing well, you keep playing until you're suspended or dropped or suspended or you play poorly, you keep playing.
Yeah, so he did it with McTominay and Casemiro, didn't he?
He did, and I don't see why he would take Wan-Bissaka out for Dalot in current fitness. The midfield three, again, it picks itself. It's the only three fit midfielders we've got. If you take Bruno and put him as a sort of number 10, those two sort of deep line players, whether you want to call them 8s or 6s or whatever, they are literally the only two players we've got. And I think one thing that Ten Hag does so brilliantly is doesn't whinge. He just gets on with it. Yeah. Like, you could easily be calling this an injury crisis. If this was Jose now, managing Manchester United, you'd be hearing about this injury crisis where Dallow's been injured, Eriksen's out, McTominay's out, Casemiro's out. I know he's not injured, but he's out for 3 games. You've got...
Van der Beek, did you mention Van der Beek?
Van der Beek out for the rest of the season. Now we find out that Anthony's injured as well. Martial's injured. Like,
obviously.
We've got no starting striker. From the strikers that started at Manchester United this season, none of them are available. From the midfielders that started at Manchester United this season, only Fred is available. Like, it is ridiculous how many injuries we've got, and yet I don't know whether it's on purpose or just his character, and that's, he doesn't focus on these things. It feels as though there's still optimism. We've still got a full squad to pick from. It feels different to the reality because Ten Hag is so good at deflecting and making the players who he's got feel valued rather than lamenting all the ones that are missing. So I think that team picks itself. Maybe you could switch Garnacho and Rashford. That was my only sort of query there with Anthony not being in. Garnacho's got more game ready than Sancho maybe. And then you would put Garnacho in there instead of Sancho. But other than that, I think that team's pretty much... I ain't got anyone else.
No, I hear you. It does feel like it's like the team almost picks itself. Go to my team. It's very similar. The only difference is I actually think Dalot might come back in. Okay. I understand what you're saying. I just feel that, Wan-Bissaka's playing well. I think he took him off, didn't he, against Palace?
Yeah, he brought on Lindelof and Maguire.
Which might just be an indication that he's not 100% on whether Wan-Bissaka's his guy. I don't know if he'd have took Delo off in that situation.
Okay.
And I feel like Delo is getting towards fitness, and I still think he prefers Delo. But you make a good point about the fact that when people are playing well, and Wan-Bissaka has been playing well, they tend to keep the place under Erik ten Hag. I just feel as well, with the games coming thick and fast, I don't know if Delo could play 3 games in the next 8 days anyway. So he might pick him for the home game against Leeds and then bring Wan-Bissaka back in for the away game against Leeds, which is about 4 days later or whatever it is, which is just ridiculous. Yeah, the big sort of talking points for me, Jadon Sancho, I think he will start this game, and Marcel Sabitzer starting as well.
Yeah.
You know, not because of any sort of design, but because we've almost got no one left unless, like you said, we bring in one of the youngsters. So, very similar teams. Get involved in the comments and let us know what you think the team will be for the home game against Leeds United.
Struggling, to say the least.
They are struggling. And we were struggling when we looked at, to say the Leeds, when we looked at them. Jack Harrison is one of their more effective players. Now, he's got 4 assists in the league, which you go, 4 assists in 18 games isn't anything to write home about. But that's the highest in their squad. Yeah, he's created 31 chances, which is, it's not that bad. Highest in the squad. 6 big chances, highest in the squad. So he's one of their more effective players. But they are a team that have been struggling. They've been struggling at pretty much both ends of the pitch. Defensively, they don't look great. And offensively, they don't look that potent. So, you look at it and you go, like I said earlier, there's not lots of players in the Leeds team where you go, oh my gosh, he causes problems. Yeah. They have got some good players, I'm not saying they haven't, but you'd fancy us for this one, wouldn't you?
Surely. I mean, they're okay, aren't they? But the only thing that gives them a hope in this game is the sort of rivalry with United.
Yeah.
If this was a team performing the way they are with the style of play they have, and it was, pick a team, Wolves.
Yeah.
Then United would certainly win this game. Or Bournemouth, or do you know what I mean? Someone of a similar sort of recent stature to them, we would win the game easily. The only thing that gives them a chance is the fact that it's Leeds versus Manchester United. But other than that, I can't see how, they're just awful at the minute.
So now, this preview is brought to you by Betmate, the fantasy football app. We love a bit of Betmate, don't we?
Fantastic.
You do. You keep winning money.
Keep winning.
Yeah.
Keep winning.
How
keep
much
playing,
did you win the other week?
200 quid.
You've won
another
a
27
decent
quid
amount of money. McCullough's won a decent amount of money. I have won some money. So if we can win money, then I fancy your chances. Tell us a little bit about that, mate.
Well, it's a fantasy football app, isn't it? But instead of having 11 players that you don't want, you have 7 players that you do want. Yeah. It's just better. And it takes into account things like interceptions and tackles and all that stuff. So it's not just like you have to pick. One thing that other apps do is where you go, well, if they don't score, they're useless.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, people like Casemiro, although he has been getting goals recently, are still useful. Your defenders often will get you the most points. So it's more tactical. It's not just, well, you've got to put Trent in and you've got to put Haaland in. You pick the ones that actually will get you tackles, interceptions, and that sort of stuff as well. So it's a more well-rounded, just a smarter way of doing fantasy football, really. And all you have to do is use the code Paddock10 and you will get £10 in free bets when you enter a paid pot. Also, throughout February, it's Freebie February. That's hard to say. Easy for you to
February.
say. Which means that alongside every paid pot, there is an additional free pot. So join the United versus Leeds pot, which we're in.
Yep.
Join that with a chance of winning 750 quid for a £5 bet. And you get to join the free pot as well.
Yes.
So it's phenomenal. So Paddock 10, which gets you a £10 free bet when you enter any pot. Join the Leeds pot to give you 750 quid and get in the free one as well. It's that simple. Like so many things, so many chances to win money. And if you're good, beat me and Jay, win yourself some cash. It's easy. Betmate.
Let's have a look at your Betmate team.
I've gone with De Gea, Martinez, Varane, Bruno, Sancho and Rashford. I put Sancho straight back in just because he's got a point to prove, hasn't he? He's one of those players that I think he's coming back. He wants to show everyone what we've been missing, and I think he'll do well. Unfortunately, the annoying thing there is I've accidentally got the Leeds player as vice captain. That will be changed.
Well, you can change it up to 5 minutes before kickoff.
That's the perfect thing.
So
actually, I'm pointing out. Do you know when a supply teacher comes in and don't know anyone's name, and then they get it wrong and they go, "Oh, I was just testing you."
Yeah.
That's me. I'm testing Betmate, and Betmate once again coming in clutch. So I'm going to change that. I'm going to put Rashford as my vice captain, but I think Bruno is on this great run of form, as we said, 6 games in a row at home that he's been involved in a goal. I think he's going to carry that on against Leeds, so I'm going to stick with him as captain. But there's my team. It's pretty sound, isn't it? Come on.
It is, and I can't really argue that too much, other than the glaring mistake of making Adams, whoever he is, vice captain. Go to my team. Pretty similar, to be honest with you. De Gea, obviously, Martinez, Varane. Love Rafael Varane. He's having a great season because he's a great player. He always gets a crowd going as well. He always does all that. I love all that, mate. Bruno, as you mentioned, is in a great run of form, especially at Old Trafford. Made him the captain. Sabitzer, I expect him to start, so I'm giving him a chance. And Marcus Rashford, who is on fire. Yeah. He's my vice captain because it's always important to make sure you're getting those extra points from your captain and your vice captain, and then a load of losers on the bench.
Yeah, make sure you check out Betmate again. Use that code Paddock10 to get £10 in free bets upon sign up when you enter any paid pot, and check out their freebie February as well. So every time you join one, there's another pot waiting for you for free. You couldn't ask for more. Check out Betmate. Link to that is in the description. Score predictions, Jay.
Go on, you give us yours first.
I don't like the new manager thing. I know it's Armas. We've been through it. I know you've told me he's no good, but I think it's going to be close. I don't think we're going to lose. I don't think we're going to drop points, but I'm going with a 2-1 victory here. I think it's going to be one of those games where you just holding on for dear life, Palace-esque victory. A 2-1. Yeah, because it's just, there's so many, like, this is the worst they've been since they've been in the Premier League, and this is the best we've been since they've been in the Premier League. So I think this will be the tightest game because it's so obvious we'll batter them that it mustn't happen.
I think it's obvious we'll batter him for a reason, because we will. And I'm risking getting clips up and all that, and having Leeds fans ram this down my throat. But I think Chris Armas is not even remotely in the same stratosphere as Erik ten Hag. And also, Erik ten Hag has a much better team. I think if you swapped managers, I think there might be a closeness there. Yeah. But even then, I still fancy Manchester United to win, even with Chris Armas, who I think is pretty inept as manager. But Erik ten Hag managing a team that's far superior to a Chris Armas managed one, for me, it's a no-brainer. I'm going to go 5-0 United. We've been battering them left, right and centre, Leeds. I've loved them back in the Premier League because it's just been an absolute blast. Yeah. So I think we'll do him. Get involved in the comments in the chat. Let us know whether you agree with us. Don't forget as well, get your phones out. Film yourself for 30 seconds, giving us your score prediction. Send it to paddockmatchday@gmail.com. Nice little vid there, and we'll get you on the pre-match build-up. Joe, where can people find you?
New episode of the Sloppy Joe's podcast out today. Go and check that out right now.
Very funny podcast. Make sure you do. You know where to find me as well. Don't forget as well to hit like, share, and subscribe. Big thanks to Betmate for sponsoring this preview. The link is in the description. That's been Joe Smith. I've been Jay Motti. Thanks for watching.